R.I. Presents.
Sea People Mountain People Chapter 2 Encounter with Mythology. Previous overview. Upon learning of Touka's existence, Tokapcup's mother seemed surprised to learn that Touka spoke the language of Wajin. Touka hesitated for a moment but decided to ask her mother various questions. So I told Tokapcup, I want to talk to your mom for a bit, okay? And then looked at her mother and she was surprised with her eyes wide open. When Tokapcup tried to speak my message, her mother stopped her with her hands and said, wait a minute, and then fell silent for a moment. Then her mother spoke in a slow tone, are you Kamwi? In a Japanese. It's asking me directly. Intuitively, I answered, no, and her mother continued, who are you who speaks the language of a Wajin who is not Kamwi? Her asked me. But I don't have the answer to that question. I myself don't understand why this happened, and only recently have I finally sorted out my feelings. The reality is that I was hungry for information to understand the current situation. However, there is one thing that needs to be confirmed before that. Can Mom hear my voice? So I asked her mother about it before asking a lot of questions. Her mom replied that she could hear your voice clearly now, although it depended on the distance. Surprised. But then we can talk faster. If I can learn more about the current situation, I may be able to identify the times and get clues to my current situation. Shall I ask her mother about the Ainu first? I know very little about the Ainu. But they and I have a lot in common, including their appearance. Maybe I'm an Ainu. When I asked about the Ainu, her mother explained in detail. What surprised me was that Ainu meant a person, not an ethnic name. Her mom went on to talk about the Ainu, including the Wajin. After they came to live here, we started calling the place we live as our name. However, they used to call themselves Ashihara people, and it wasn't until much later that we started calling them Wajin. Far from here, across the sea, was the Ashihara country, where the queen held the country together, from which sometimes people who called themselves messengers would come to Kodan. Eventually, they began to call themselves the people of Wakoku and called us the Ainu. They excelled in planting crops and farming tools, and in exchange for their skills and tools, we thanked them with what we got at sea. We can live anywhere there is a sea and a river, but they seem to be afraid of the sea, so they built a settlement away from the sea. However, it is difficult to survive on mountain food alone. In addition, it takes time for crops to grow, and it is not always possible to harvest enough of them. So we exchanged what we wanted from each other to make up for what we lacked. In the past, we all helped each other. But they have changed. In particular, the village of Yaso not only demands food, but sometimes forcibly takes it. Not all of them are bad, but they seem to have a different way of thinking than us, so I try not to get involved too much now. The important thing is that we are kept alive by nature. Don't forget to be grateful for nature. Her mom smiled kindly after saying that. I was impressed. There were some differences from the modern way of saying, but her mother spoke carefully to me, so I understood it well. There were also words that could be used as a reference for learning about this era. When I was thinking about organizing the stories I had heard, her mother asked me to tell her a little about myself. I was a little lost in this. It's too abrupt to suddenly say that I'm from the future, and that's not what her mother wants to know. I think what her mother wants to know most is why I'm here. So I told her mom about my experience when I went on a trip with my friends, as far as I remember. When I told her about the time I saw the mural in El-Wade Prefecture, her mother reacted to the word mural and went to the corner of the room and took out a piece of clothing from the box. The clothes had some kind of pattern on the back, and I didn't know what it was at first, but the next moment I remembered. This pattern looks familiar. Today's story ends. The continuation of the story will be updated tomorrow. Please look forward to. If you like, please subscribe to the channel. See you again.